Now, if you had told me a month ago that I'd be making a video like this, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. Not too long ago, we picked up a decent draw at Anfield and sat top of the table. Here we are now though, just 2 weeks after that draw at Anfield, and you have a fairly large part of Arsenal fan base on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, or what have you, calling for Arteta to be sacked from Arsenal after this recent run of horrid form, and saying that our season is over. Now, do they have a point? Is Arteta to blame for this kind of crisis we are having, or is it out of Arteta's control and sacking him should be the last thing we think about? Well, that's what we will be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before I give you guys my point of view, let me just clarify this. Yes, I am extremely upset with our performances. I am so infuriated with how we've been performing and the results. And no, I haven't got Arteta bias, and I just want Arteta to be a manager, because if there is a better manager out there that I think could do a better job, then I would call for him to be hired. So I'm going to go into this video with as little bias as possible. But here's my blunt take. I think if you are blaming Arteta for this crisis, and Arteta alone, you're not blaming anyone else, you're not blaming the players, you're blaming Arteta and Arteta alone, I think you should really relook at the games before you say that. If you look at our last 3 games, and these last 3 games we have been absolutely horrid. We were horrible against West Ham, even worse against Fulham, and we were much better against Liverpool, but we were horrible in Liverpool's penalty box. In these last couple games, we can't score to save our lives, and it's not just these losses, and it's not just the draw at Anfield that we wasted so many chances. Even that 2-0 win against Brighton, where we played really well throughout, we weren't clinical. We missed so many chances, and we only won 2-0. Go watch that game again. Tell me we shouldn't have won 6 or 7-0 on how many chances we created, but no one was finishing. So I think it's fair to admit that this team, yes, we've had poor performances like against Fulham and West Ham, but outside of those 2 games, we were pretty decent throughout the season and having some really good games here and there. And then even in this little crisis that we're having outside of the Fulham and West Ham game, we still put in solid performances. I mean, you look at this Liverpool loss where we lost 2-0. It was still a solid performance. Like, you have to be fair, give credit where credit's due. We still put in a solid performance. We weren't great, but we put in a solid performance. We just weren't good in the final third. So then you got to ask yourself, how much of this whole crisis or just situation that we find ourselves in, how much of it do we blame on Arteta? Because he is the manager and he does deserve some blame. Let's clear that up. He does deserve some blame. He is not immune from it. Every player under the sun, every assistant manager, everyone involved in Arsenal deserves some blame for this crisis, of course, and Arteta deserves a fair chunk of it. But I think if you can sit here and call for Arteta to be sacked because of this poor run of games, I don't know if I agree with that at all, in any way, shape or form. I think what Arteta has done for this club, how he has transformed us, I think it's very unfair to call for his head and call for him to be sacked. And no, I am not backing Arteta based solely on what he has done for us in the past, but you have to look at the actual situation we find ourselves in. We are creating tons and tons of chances, and again, outside of that West Ham and Fulham game, we have actually played some pretty decent football. We're just not finishing. If we finished even half the chances we created in the last 3 games, we would have won all 3 games. Even though we weren't particularly good against Fulham and we weren't particularly good against West Ham, we probably would have won all 3 games. We had 61 shots in our last 3 games and just 1 goal. How can you blame the manager for that? Yes, I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, instead of buying Kai Havertz for £65 million, we should have went to go buy a striker. And I'm not saying I don't agree with that, but when Havertz was playing well, no one was saying that. But now the fact that Havertz isn't particularly taking his chances well, we aren't scoring goals, then it's Havertz to blame. And yes, Havertz was horrible against Liverpool. He should have scored at least 3 goals. But how can you sit here and actively call for Arteta to be sacked? It mind boggles me. Like, some of you guys are saying that Arteta has reached his limit, saying that he can't bring us any further. This is as far as he can bring us, almost like Simeone with Atletico Madrid. But we said that exact same thing not 3 seasons ago or 2 seasons ago when we lost 5-0 to Man City, had gone for our first 3 Premier League games, lost all of them without scoring a single goal. We were all calling for Arteta's head, and we ended up finishing the season 5th, just so close to finishing in the top 4. And in the season after that, we finished 2nd. So when is his limit? Because last time we said it, he turned it around. And you guys are going to blame Arteta for selling Tierney, for selling Balogun, for putting Kiwior at left back. I mean, I just don't know. Like, okay, let's just break that down. So Tierney, I mean, I get that he should have probably been playing more, and that is a mistake on Arteta and probably the board and the assistant coaches and all that. That is a mistake by the backroom staff for sure. Tierney should have been playing more. Tierney shouldn't have ever left Arsenal. That is undisputed. I completely agree. For those that are saying Kiwior should have never played at left back, what else would you have liked him to do? I said this in the preview to the Liverpool game that I would have chose Kiwior at left back, not because I like Kiwior at left back, but because we have to. Who else is going to play there? Gabriel is an elite centre back. You don't want to ruin the partnership he has with Saliba, so you can't play Gabriel at left back. Zinchenko is injured. Tomiyasu is injured. Timber is injured. We have to play Kiwior, who is a centre back. We have to play him at left back until someone else is fit enough to play there. Unless you're going to go grab an academy player, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be saying, oh, an academy player will be better, but be realistic. Unless you're going to go grab an academy player, who do you play at left back? You can't blame Arteta for playing Kiwior at left back. And I see a lot of tweets saying that Arteta's stubbornness and ego is putting us in this position, and we're never going to get back to our glory days under Arteta. I can't understand that at all. Yes, he makes mistakes, but so does Pep Guardiola. The difference is Pep Guardiola's squad is so good that it bails him out time after time. I mean, if we had Haaland, we would be sitting comfortably top of the table, cruising through all the competitions, but we don't have Erling Haaland. We don't have the budget of Man City. And just a little caveat, I'm not saying Arteta is nearly as good as a manager as Pep, but I'm just trying to explain to you why I think we're being very unfair to Arteta. I mean, this Arsenal fan base is just so fickle. A month ago, everyone was fully behind this team. Everyone was thinking, we can go in and win a freaking treble. But now here we sit after 5 or so bad performances, a poor run of form, and we are blaming the manager. The manager, Mikel Arteta. Yes, he has built this team. Yes, it's his decisions a lot of the time that has costed us certain games or whatever the case is. But the fact that I'm seeing some Arsenal fans saying that it's the introduction of Kai Havertz that has changed the game, that has ruined the game for us, that has ruined the way that we play. Yet a month ago they were praising the signing of Kai Havertz. Like, we need to stand together this time. We have to be honest with ourselves. Yes, it's unacceptable how we've been playing, and Arteta needs to take a huge responsibility for the way we've been playing. But to blame him and call for him to be sacked in the middle of a season, it's mind-boggling. I don't get it. What Arteta has done, the people he has grown, he has proven time and time again that he can coach players that some of us don't see a lot of potential in, and he can give them a decent role. I mean, Havertz for a lot of the season we thought was doing pretty well. Ben White, who no one wanted, he went to go get despite no one wanting him, and look what he's done with Ben White. He's turned Ben White into a really good right back. Yes, Ben White is in bad form now, but you get my point of view. He has coached the likes of Martinelli and Bukayo Saka to become the players they are today. And before him, inverted left backs that we did with Zinchenko wasn't all too common 2 seasons ago, believe it or not. Now every team under the sun plays an inverted left back or inverted right back. But before Arteta did it, there weren't many teams around world football doing it. And I don't even want to bring up injuries because every team under the sun has tons of them this season, but it is a huge reason why we have been struggling. Timber is an elite player, an elite signing from us, but he's been injured the whole season. Thomas Partey, injured all the time. Gabby Jesus, injured all the time. Smith Rowe barely gets minutes. Everyone is injured the whole time. It is a huge reason why I've been struggling, but I don't want to blame injuries, so we're going to move past that, but it's still something to keep in mind. Now, I'm not saying Arteta is a genius, but I think if we sack Arteta now, middle of the season, I think that would be a foolish, dumb decision that will only cause more unrest and more instability within the team. I'm not saying Arteta is unfireable like Wenger was for so many years. No, far from that. We're done at that era of our club. If you are not a good enough manager, you should go. I get it. I agree. First of all, I think Arteta is more than a good enough manager, and he has proven it time and time again. Yes, he hasn't got as many trophies as we'd hope by now, but you have to look at the situation. You have to look at what Arteta has dragged us through and how he has still kept this club going, despite so many times us thinking that this is the end of the road of Arsenal being a good club. He has always dragged us through those tough times, and this is no different. I get we are frustrated. I get that all we want to do is see our Arsenal team win, regardless of who's the manager or who's scoring the goals. I get it. But we have to also be fair to Arteta. The fact that we are actually asking the fan base if it's Arteta in or Arteta out, and let's say 40% of them are saying Arteta out, that just mind boggles me and makes me hella uncomfortable. I mean, Arsenal have scored 1 goal from our last 3 games, and in those 3 games, we have a 6.47 expected goals. How are you going to blame Arteta for that? He has this team playing decent football. Outside of a few games here and there, we are playing decent football, putting in good performances. We just not finishing the chances. You can't blame Arteta for that. Again, I get this fan base is frustrated. I get that we want to see this team do better, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Sacking Arteta is probably one of the worst things you could do right now, and it helps this club in no way, shape, or form. Listen, at the end of the season, if we finish trophyless, we finish outside of the top 4, we don't go far in the Champions League, I will be honest, then you should maybe start looking at replacing Arteta. But until that time, we shouldn't replace him at all, because he has proven time and time again that he can always turn it around, and it'd be very unfair of Arsenal to sack Arteta right now, especially with the way that this team is playing. Again, we are playing decent football, we're just not finishing chances. Any manager in the world can only do so much. There comes a time where the players on the field have to step up and play with pride and actually finish their chances. You can't blame Arteta for that. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Rant over. Let me know in the comments below, are you Arteta in or Arteta out? I can't believe I'm making this type of video, but let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of our performances recently? What is the fix outside of getting a striker? Because I know that's pretty much the common thing. Let me know all that in the comments below. Please be sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.